Welcome to the Wake Up Podcast. I am so excited that you're here. Listen, these podcasts are best listened to in the morning because we are waking up not only our bodies from sleeping, but we're waking up our minds, we're waking up our focus, we're waking up our calling, and we are following the breadcrumbs that God has left for us throughout the day over our life to tell us exactly what to do next. So stop saying that you don't know what to do. Stop feeling overwhelmed. Stop living in the valley and start walking into your calling. So I'm so excited you're here. Welcome to the show. So obviously we know that anyone who listens to this podcast would consider themselves to be in the valley. Maybe you're not currently in the valley. You struggle with the valley. You go in and out. You're just learning about the valley. You want to get out of it once and for all. But we all have this similar desire to be free and to figure out what our calling is and what our passion is and why we're here on this earth in the first place. And I hear so many women just say over and over again, I just want to find my purpose. I just want to find my purpose. In fact, I was sitting in a Bible study on Monday night, and one of the women was saying that over and over. And she's like, there just has to be something for me outside of motherhood, outside of being a wife. I just want to feel fulfilled. I want to have purpose. And I didn't say anything in the moment. And I've just been thinking and kind of replaying her plead in my head over and over, and really thinking that the more women I talk to and get connected to and hear their true desires, we all kind of have the same underlying desire. Or some people, maybe they can't put it into words like that. And they'll say like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but you're already a grown up. You're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And you're like, what am I going to be when I get older? And it's this desire that we actually were created to have, this feeling of there has to be something more. And nothing of this world satisfies us because we weren't created to be satisfied by the world. So no matter how much stuff you have and how much success and things that the world says that you've achieved, you'll still have this feeling of like, there has to be something more to my life. What is this purpose? And Rick Warren has a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. It's the #1 most sold book in all time next to the Bible. And it is a phenomenal book. They have one for children as well. I have read it and reread it and reread it and reread it. And it's called The Purpose-Driven Life. So I highly recommend that you take a look at it and listen to it on Audible or get the hard copy from Amazon and just kind of dive into that book if you've never read it, because we all have this same feeling of there has to be something more. And there's different phases. And one of the hardest things for me to do is to be able to run a podcast and talk to the masses, but knowing people's individual needs, because we're all at different phases. Some of the people listening to this right now, you are in the deepest hole of depression where you can't see straight, you can't hear straight. Your life is crumbling. You are in the deepest pit and you have no idea how to get out. Others of you might not even recognize where you are yet. You don't even recognize that you're in the deepest pit, but you just feel so bad that your emotions are alarming you and telling you like, something is wrong. Something is wrong. I feel terrible. I'm miserable. You might not be even at step 1 yet, which is admit. And if you're not at that step yet and you still haven't admitted out loud, I am in the valley, I am in a deep place and I need to work on getting out, then you need to stop listening to this episode and you need to go listen to episode 34, which is called Admit. Okay. And then you're going to listen to episode 40. And then you're going to come back and listen to this episode, because this episode is for someone, it's episode 87. And this is for someone who has already realized that they're in the valley and have admitted that they're in the valley. They took the steps to get out of the valley. So you might not be out for good. And, even myself, I find myself slipping into a valley occasionally. So you might not be like healed and perfect and great and everything's amazing and this is wonderful and now I'm going to listen to this episode, but you've taken the steps to get out of the valley, which really is finding your purpose. So step one is admitting that you have a problem, and you're going to listen to episode 34. Step two is where you find your purpose. You begin to learn about God and who he says you are. You learn who you really are. You begin to love yourself, love your story, own your story, learn about your gifts, your calling. You know, all of that you've already started doing. And in episode 40, it's called Time with God, and it teaches you how to spend time with God, because the only way that you're going to learn your purpose and to start walking out of the valley is to spend as much time with God as possible. And this episode will teach you how to do that. And you are also a perfect candidate for my course, which is called Find Your Purpose, which can be found at mentoringthemasses.com or by clicking the link in my bio on Instagram at Tarryn Sarconi. And this course was created out of a need. As I was coaching women and talking to women, and I was actually teaching them branding, I was teaching women how to create funnels and how to connect to your exact person on social media to make an impact, because that's where I was. I realized that a lot of the women that I was talking to about this, they actually needed to go back a step, because they were jumping right into selling a product or promoting something, and they wanted to blow up their Instagram or go crazy on Facebook or create a TikTok, and they wanted to make an impact. They wanted to make money. The way that the world is right now, you can make a lot of money from working at home and doing your own thing. 10 years ago, that wasn't even an option. People weren't entrepreneurs online creating these online virtual brands because it just wasn't there. And so we are sitting at the most precious time ever when it comes to the tech world. And if you want to create an impact, if you have this desire in you, like, I want to change the world, I want to devote myself, I want to feel fulfilled by giving and giving. You know, the only thing that can really fulfill us is by linking with Jesus, but is to give and is to serve. And that's really what we were created to do. And the Bible talks all about the person who is the greatest is the one who puts themselves least. Even Jesus came here to serve. And he was brought here. Mark 10:35 says, for even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. We are called to serve, not to be served. And when you start to help people and you start to give and just make people around you feel better, you begin to feel better and you begin to feel more fulfilled, because God is using you as a tool to help better someone's life. Maybe you're bettering their life. Maybe you're providing entertainment, feedback, education. You're helping them make their life more simple, or you're solving a problem or a need that they have in their life. And this step of finding your purpose was created in my course out of a need, because I started to do stuff and I realized that the people that I was helping and the people that I was coaching, they really needed to go back and spend some time with the Creator, and they needed to learn who they are and acknowledge their story and discover their gifts, because the devil doesn't want us to get to step 3. So he doesn't even want us to get into step 2. He's all right if you can admit that you have a problem and you're like, I think something's going on. I think something's off. Now, my life doesn't feel balanced. My life doesn't feel fulfilled. I need something more. There has to be something more there. That's really the first step. And he's okay if you've gotten to that step, but he absolutely doesn't want you to get to step 2, and definitely doesn't want you to get to step 3. And so he puts this veil over you, these scales over your eyes, muffles your ears, helps you to just look at the world and desire things of this world. And then he uses your past and your traumas and your hurts and abuses and things people have said to you and labeled you as, and the narrative that you've told yourself and the negative self-talk and all the things that have happened to you, and I'm not good enough, and I was raised in this environment that makes me feel like I'm not good enough and I'll never be enough. And he wants you to just keep repeating this and living in this cycle, in this deep pit, because one, when you're in the pit, you're closest to him. He is down there and he can just whisper to you. Usually when you're in a pit, you're also in the pit alone. There are a million people in pits, but you can't see that anyone else is in a pit because the walls are so dark and it's cold and it's kind of scary down there, and you isolate and you ignore text messages and you don't share your story, and guilt and shame smothers you and keeps you down in this dungeon. So you're in isolation, you're not opening up, you're not sharing, you're not talking. So the only person who's in your ear is the devil and yourself, which sometimes I don't even know who's worse. You know, your own thoughts are just so toxic and so terrible that if you found out your kids were saying these things to them, it would bring you to tears. You would be so upset that your children think this way about themselves. How do you think God feels about us? You know, we sit here and we say these things to ourselves, and that's not who he's called us to be. That's not what he's spoken over us. And there's two reasons, and I talk about it in my book, why people don't believe in who God says they are. Is the first one is because they don't know. You don't spend time knowing. You've never spent time reading your Bible. You've never spent time learning your identity. You don't know the scriptures of what God has called you to do and what he said about you. And the second reason is because people have lied to you, manipulated you, labeled you as something that you're not. So you just believed in what people said. So the devil wants to keep you here. And when you finally pull back the covers and you reveal this and you understand what you're called to do, and that's what my course goes through. My course isn't really about me and what I think. It's about scripture and it's about what God thinks. And the course used to sell for $700 and I had tons of people buy it, but not everyone could afford that. And God spoke to me maybe 6-8 months ago and said, make this course the first step for people for healing and make it a lot cheaper. And so it's been selling for $111 ever since. And it's 6 videos that go into depth about all of these things, figuring out who you are, who God says you are, learning your identity, getting involved in a daily devotional and a daily study and reading the word and what Bible to buy and what version to buy it in, and my tips and tricks and scripture cards and everything that I have done to get out of the valley and step into my calling and into my purpose. So if you are still at this point where you're like, I've admitted, I know I'm a disaster, I need to find my purpose, I highly recommend you check out my course, mentoringthemasses.com, and listen to episode 40 on this podcast. That will get you in a really great place. Now, when you begin to walk out of the valley and you're like, okay, my story had a purpose. My pain had a purpose. What I've been through actually can be a place where I can add value to others. My story and my pain is going to bring purpose and hope and inspiration to someone else, just like myself. So I was trapped in the valley. I desperately wanted to get out. I was miserable and I found a way out. And all these other women are still stuck there and they haven't found the way out yet. And so I realized I am so grateful that I have been through what I've been through, because now I'm able to relate and understand and empathize with everyone else who's going through what I'm going through, and I can help them. I can help them go through it. I know the steps to take to get out. I guarantee I can help you out of this dark hole. If you hate your life, if you are unfulfilled, if you are miserable, I guarantee you I can help you. I know for a fact that I can help you get to a place in your life where you are fulfilled. You have so much joy, so much happiness. You're so content. You're just bursting with passion and purpose. And this little pilot light in your soul that you have right now that's barely going, I know I can throw gasoline on it and just blow up your passion where you literally can't even sleep because you're on fire for your purpose in life. I am 100% confident of that because it's not me who's going to do it. It's the Holy Spirit. It's Jesus. I know for a fact that he is the answer. I have seen it over and over and over again. I have studied the Bible. I have seen it happen 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, 20,000 years ago. It's all throughout history. And the more people I talk to, I'm more confident that I can help because I can see exactly what you're struggling with and I know what the next step is. So don't get caught there. Take the next step. Get yourself to get out of the valley and to learn this passion of yours. And when you get a glimpse of what it is and you realize my passion is helping women write a book. My passion is to help young moms step into their identity. My passion is to entertain people with funny, relatable mom stuff. My passion is to write jokes. My passion is comedy. My passion is acting. My passion is serving. It's the homeless. It's people struggling with mental illness. It's helping people get their health under control, waking them up from a certain way of thinking, detoxing their bodies, whatever it is. If you've lost 100 pounds and now you're passionate about helping other women lose weight, this is your purpose. So my course helps you to figure this out because this is the hardest thing, hands down, to figure out, where you're like, okay, I have no idea what I want to do. I have no idea who I am, what I'm called for, no clue. It is literally the hardest thing that you will go through. And that's why I've opened up my schedule as well to do these clarity calls for people, because sometimes you just need someone to talk to. And because you're so close to your own self, your emotions really cloud what's going on. You need an outside person who doesn't really know you to be able to point things out in you and say, well, what is your purpose? What would you do? Ask you the right questions so you can figure this out. So if you desperately need to talk to someone, you can click the link in my bio and you can book a clarity call with me for free. It's a 30-minute call and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I will help you start to uncover your purpose and your passions and who you're really called to be, and areas you need to pray over and things you need to divide from your life. And I will also add you to my prayer list. So I will constantly pray blessings over you and pray away the enemy. But when you finally are awake to your purpose and you're like, this is it right here, this is the thing that I want to do, you enter step 3. And step 3 has its own problems and it has its own issues. A lot of them are like imposter syndrome, where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help women lose weight. I'm going to help women get their mental health under control. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to inspire women. I'm going to entertain them. I'm going to create. I'm going to believe. I'm going to do all these things. But then in the back of your head, you're like, okay, but me, like, who am I kidding? Like, I'm not credentialed to do this. I've never done this before. Why would people pay me to coach them? I'm going to be a life coach. Do I have a certificate? Do I have that? No, we tend to really think that we're not the people for the job. And there's a book actually called You're the Girl for the Job. It's a Christian book that I read when I was going through this process. And it really helped me to open my eyes and see that I am equipped to do this. I am the right person for this job, not someone else. I am, because God says that I am. And it helped me to rewire my thinking and to get me in the right mindset to really get over imposter syndrome, because it's a really real thing. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's at step 3 that doesn't have thoughts that link them back to imposter syndrome. And that can keep you frozen, where you're like, I know I need to write this book. God told me to write this book. I know my message is great because this is what I struggled with. I know that this is going to just help so many people. I know that this is going to be incredible. I know. And then I'm like, okay, I am not an author. Like, okay, hold on. Let me wake up from this fairy tale. Like, who am I kidding? Why am I daydreaming about being an author? I barely even graduated high school. I failed all my English classes. English was never my strong suit. I had teachers speak bad about me, about my success and writing. And I believed it. And so for so long, it held me. I knew what my purpose was, but I didn't get into action. So one of the things is imposter syndrome that you really need to pray away and get over and realize and ask yourself this: do I feel like I have value to add to this situation? So if you're trying to inspire women to leave toxic, abusive relationships, do you have experience around that situation? Do you know good advice to give someone? If the answer is yes, then you are equipped. You don't need anything else. You don't need a certification. You don't need a degree. You don't need to go get some sort of license. You are enough to do this, because in the online world, what's really great is that most things we do, you don't even need any kind of certification or license. Now, some things you do. If it's your passion to go into real estate, you want to help single moms in their house, okay, you're probably going to need to go to school. You're going to need to do some sort of licensing, some sort of certification. Life coaching is different based on what state you're in. Here in the state of Michigan, you don't need any kind of certification to call yourself a life coach and to begin life coaching, which is kind of scary, in a way. So make sure whatever you're doing, you make sure that you research it and you understand what is needed for that to happen. But the other thing is that we just don't ever get started, or we start and then we get scared and we stop, or we get busy and we stop, or we get distracted and we stop. Fear comes into play. We start overthinking. We go back to imposter syndrome. So we're frozen. And the thing that I've learned the most throughout this step is you can't steer a parked car. You can't. You cannot steer a parked car. And something that happened to me is, so I struggle with anxiety. I've gotten like a million times better. It used to be crippling, especially in situations that I couldn't control. And there was a lot of unknowns around them, like going out in the public. A huge trigger for me was grocery stores. It still to this day kind of is. I don't ever do like major grocery shopping in person. I have to order things online because I will get there and I will literally start having a panic attack, which just happened to me last week, which is just so bizarre. I later found out that grocery stores is a huge trigger for people with anxiety, and it made a lot of sense to me. But doing things that I feel uncomfortable and I don't feel safe and there's a lot of unknown really triggers me. And we were at a soccer tournament up north, about 4 hours north in Michigan. And we got there and there were all these people. I mean, just thousands of people, probably 1,000 people that were at this tournament. And I was driving, which was dumb. I don't know why I drove, but I drove. And my husband said, stop right here and let me and Dominic out. We're going to run over to this registration tent. You go park the car and then meet us at field 3. What did you say? I'm like, I'm not doing that. I do not want to do that. Like, let me go to registration with Dominic. You drive the car. And he's, God bless him. He's always trying to push me to be better he's like, you got this. You can do this. The parking lot is right there. And then walk to the field. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. And he leaves, shuts the door, and I am just in panic. I am like, and my daughters are with me and my one son is with me, and they're so great. They're like, Mom, it's okay. We can do this. We can find where to go. And they're trying to like talk me up. And if you've struggled with mental illness, you know that your kids kind of have to take care of you sometimes. A lot of people have a lot of shame and guilt around that. I truly believe that that's God blessing you and helping you to have little helpers in your life to calm you down. But it's also a really good reflection of your kids are watching and they know what you're struggling with. And do you really want your child growing up in a home where they had to take care of their mother and her mental health? Probably not. Okay, so this is a good eye opener to realize I need to make some changes. And remember, we can't do the changes on our own. So you have to rely on God and pray for change. I started praying away my anxiety, asking God to help and heal me. And he did. I would not struggle in a soccer tournament parking lot situation right now as I did 2 years ago when this happened. And they talk me up. You're fine. You're fine. Let's go. Let's drive the car. So we go, we park in the parking lot. And I get out of the car and there's 1,000 people in all these fields. I have no idea where I'm going. I don't see the sign numbers on the fields. And I just panic and I call my husband. I'm like, I don't know where to go. He's like, okay, you're going to walk straight. You're going to turn to the left and you're going to see the field. It's going to be right there on your right. And that's confusing to me. The people that say like, oh, you're going to go west on this road and then it'll be on the northeast corner. Like, can you just not tell me that? Because that is so confusing. My dad always did that to me. He's like, is it on the west side or the east side? I'm like, I don't know. It's on the right. and I'm driving away from home. Like, don't ask me direction north, south, either way. Like, I don't know. And so he's like, you're gonna, go left, you're gonna go straight, you're gonna turn left, it's gonna be on your right. And we literally got in a huge fight. And I'm like, I do not know where to go. I don't know why you would leave me here. I am just stuck in this. I don't know where to go. I'm overwhelmed. There's all these people. There's all these signs. I have all these kids with me. And he was like, babe, just start walking. Just start walking towards me. You just start walking towards the road, and I will tell you as you go, but you have to start walking. And really, that's my advice to you. You have to start walking. You cannot navigate your way to the end without starting to go. When you're creating a brand and you're creating a business and you're creating a purpose and you're creating this idea, it's going to all be created as you go. It's also going to be created out of needs that you see need to be met. And you won't ever see those needs until you get out there and you start doing it. And I started walking and I said, okay, now I can go left or straight. He said, turn left. I was walking left. He's like, I see you. Do you see me? He's waving his hand. He's like, look to your right. I'm like, yes, I see you. He's like, okay, come over here. And it wasn't as scary as I thought it was. And he helped me as I went through. And the good news is that God is perfect and amazing, and he is never going to leave you. He's never going to yell at you. He's never going to disown you, be upset with you. He is like, come on, Terry, come this way, start walking, start going. And if you're praying for God to light the path and slam the doors and to guide you and direct you, and you're doing step 2 every single day where you're spending time with God and you're praying over your business and your life and what you're doing, God is going to reveal himself to you. He is going to put certain intuitive feelings inside of your soul that's like, read this book, call this person, get on this call. Like, even listening to this podcast, like Terry, you said, when I saw on Telegram that you posted that this is what you were talking about, you're like, I knew I had to get on, because your intuition was like, hey, Terry, get on this call because this is what you need to hear next. And this is how God leads us. And I call these breadcrumbs in my book because it is what God is doing. God showed me a breadcrumb this morning, and I was praying on the way home from dropping my daughter off at school for God to reveal to me what my next steps are. I am ready to move forward. I am ready to be in this purpose. I have gotten rid of anxiety. I have gotten rid of depression. I am out of the valley and I barely slip in it. I have grown. I've let go of control. I've let go of my need for approval of others. I stopped drinking alcohol. I've been sober for 101 days. I have become a gentle mom. I let go of the anger. I learned my triggers. I overcame them. I learned my purpose, my passion, my calling in my soul. I've devoted my life to Christ. I have done the work. I went to counseling. I healed my wounds. I made amends with my biological father. I have done the work. It's taken time. Of course, anything worth having is going to take some time, but I have overcome all of these things. And now I'm telling God, I think I'm ready. Fear doesn't hold me back anymore. Anxiety doesn't hold me back anymore. I don't know of any other shackles that are on my ankle holding me back from God's calling. And I think I'm ready to leave and to walk forward into this. God, lead me and guide me and direct me. And before the words even came out of my mouth, all of a sudden I started humming the song, The Goodness of God. It starts like, I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercies never fail me all my days. Oh, I just started singing the song in my head. Like, I was literally like humming the song, and I'm like, I love that song. I want to listen to that song when I get home. And I got home, I played it on my Alexa. Skylar wasn't having it. She's like, turn it down. It's too loud. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go in my office a few minutes early before this call starts. I'm going to listen to the song and I'm just going to worship for a minute. So I went in here, I opened YouTube, I typed it in, I clicked on the video, and this ad that came on from before the video started was this guy, Nick Unsworth, who I know, who I've been connected to before. And he runs this business called Life on Fire. He's a Christian. Him and his wife own this company. I've actually done some of his courses and stuff before. And he has an ad on there that is all about writing a book in 30 days, publishing it, He's like, it's completely free. It's 3 live Zooms. They're 90 minutes each. We got the best of the best in the industry coming on here, sharing our tips, sharing our stuff. Melanie, I was going to send it to you, and I will. And I was sitting there and I'm like, this is exactly what I need to hear right now. This is exactly what I'm interested in right now. I want to write my book and finish my book. And yes, I have a coach and I already have a lot of resources, but it just sounded so interesting to me where I'm like, this is a really good thing. I know that I'll get good nuggets out of this. I know this will inspire me to want to keep writing even quicker. And I'm watching this, and then I sing the song, and as I'm singing the song, and I have one of the videos up that have the lyrics on there, and I'm singing and I'm worshiping, and all of a sudden it hits me, and I'm like, this is a breadcrumb. This is a breadcrumb. Like, I was praying for God to lead me. Immediately this song came in my mind. I couldn't listen to it on my Alexa in my kitchen because of Skylar. I came in my office, opened it up on YouTube, saw the ad. This is where I need to be next. I just felt it in my soul. And so I grabbed my journal and I wrote down the date, and I wrote BC and circled it so I can see the breadcrumb. And I wrote down this whole process of what I just told you. And I said, God, what are you going to show me from this training? Because I know that this is my next step. And just like that, God revealed it to me. So you have to be connected to God. Step 2 isn't like, okay, I have completed step 2. I'm good to go to step 3. It's a constant continuation of step 2 all the time. Because let me tell you, when I stop putting my face in the Bible and I stop praying and I stop learning and I stop going to church, let me just say, I don't stop these things because I intentionally stop them. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. No, I don't intentionally do it. I don't intentionally not read my Bible. I get busy, I get distracted, and there are other things on my list that I decide to do besides those things that I need to do. And so after a few days of that, I don't even realize that I've slipped away. But what I do realize is my emotions and my awareness. When it finally comes to the emotional state that I'm in, it's usually anxiety, depression, overthinking, overanalyzing, worrying. I go right back to the valley. And I realize, wait a second, why do I feel so bad? I haven't spent any time with God. I cancel my day. I spend time with God. I feel renewed. I feel better, and I can continue on with my life. This is a continuation. You can't ever stop this. And we're going to do a podcast episode coming up soon called Avoid Falling Away, because you can avoid falling away. You can avoid falling into a valley. Not like everything's going to be perfect in your life, but you can avoid the feeling of desperation and overthinking and analyzing and burnt out and stress and worry and fear and dread and all of that. You can avoid that 100%. There's tons of scriptures, and there's things I've been learning lately about signs of a healthy heart and an unhealthy heart when it comes to that. So we're probably going to talk about that in the next episode or two. But when you realize that God is leading you all day long, you'll just start to walk a little bit differently. And we have all received a gift. We have all been created on purpose. So once you start learning what God has said about you, you'll start to hold on to that truth. And 1 Peter 4:10 says, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. He doesn't say some of you have received a gift. He says, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another. You have a gift. And if you don't know what your gifts are, you can actually just search online spiritual gift test, and you can find a free spiritual gift test, and you can answer some questions, and it'll tell you what your spiritual gifts are. Do you have great discernment? Do you have great praying, wisdom? Are you an encourager? What are your gifts? Are you a server? There are so many gifts that you have possessed, but you don't know what they are. So doing my course, learning about your gifts, then you know how to give them. So you cannot steer a parked car. I could not steer myself to where I needed to go to the soccer field until I started moving. So you have to just start moving. You have to just start doing something. Because if you just wait until you have all of your perfect real ideas, you're waiting for all these TikTok inspirations. You're like, okay, if I just have this perfect story, then I'll write my book. You just have to start doing it. If you want to start a podcast, you just have to start doing it. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Write on a sticky note, done beats perfect, because this perfection is going to put you back in imposter syndrome and it's going to freeze you. Like, oh, I want to start sending out emails, but I don't know what kind of picture I should use. Does this picture look good? Does this picture look good? What about this heading? What about this header? What about this? What about that? I don't know. Just pick one and send it out, because I promise, whether it's perfect or not, you're going to change anyway. It's going to evolve. It's going to change. It's going to grow. And the best thing that you need to do, and in the course, you define your ideal person. And that's the most important part here, because if you do not know who you're talking to, you won't be able to talk to them. You need to know their language. You need to know their pain. You need to know what is keeping them up at night. You need to know what is their specific problem. What is their specific goal? What advice do they need to hear? You need to know who your ideal person is. Are they a man? Are they a woman? How old are they? Do they have children? What career are they in? What obstacles have they overcome? What trauma have they experienced? I wouldn't be able to relate to you. I wouldn't be able to help you if I did not know who you were. So I can speak directly to you, because I know if you're listening to this, you're a Christian or you're learning to become one. I know if you're listening and following me on Instagram and through my podcast, I know that you're a woman, and I know that you feel like you're made for more. I know you feel like there's something missing. I know you feel like you are created for a purpose, but you don't know what that is. I know that you desperately want to get out of trauma and bondage, because that's who I'm talking to. So as I'm talking to you, I'm attracting the people who it's connecting to, and I'm building a following of my people. The goal on social media isn't to have 1 million followers and as many followers as possible. You want to have people that are your people. It doesn't help you to have 1 million people on Instagram that you buy their followers just to look like you're good. You need to have 1 million people who are into what you're talking about. It's better to have 300 followers who are into what you're talking about versus 600,000 of just random people that you found online and you did follow for follow, or you did some weird software that got you followers. Okay, that is not the point. And the reason why I talk about social media is because we have never been in a time like this. Like I said, this is the best time in history when it comes to the tech world. We have this availability at our fingertips that no one in our family genealogy has ever had before. The way that social media is, it is beautiful. You can connect with people that are your specific people all over the world. Now, I live in a little tiny farm town in Michigan. I grew up on a dead-end dirt road on a farm. Like, I live next to 100-year-old farmers, and we're in the middle of nowhere. And I don't really have a whole lot of people in my community who need what I have to offer. I'm sure somewhere, but I don't know them. I don't connect with them. I don't knock on their door. We're not getting together on the weekends. We're busy in our lives. So for me, the fact that I can speak to 8,000 of my followers who I know are in the valley, that is fulfilling. And what you want to do is you want to continuously put out this message and speak this language of your person, so you can grow a following. You can grow a group of people who need the value that you're giving. There's 1.3 billion people on Instagram. There's 1 billion people on TikTok. There's 2.1 billion people on YouTube, 2.85 billion people on Facebook. And the majority of people in the United States and Canada are spending 3+ hours a day on social media platforms. The way that algorithms work, the way that marketing works these days, it all is so crucial that you start using these platforms and learning how to use them, because once you do, you have an advantage, because you are able to connect through sight words and through hashtags and through algorithm to your ideal person. I can find people in Europe that are women in the valley that are unfulfilled. I can find women in Australia. I can find women in Africa. I can find women in Asia. I can find women everywhere in the world, as long as they have social media, that are my ideal person, that I can be making an impact and that I can help. And so, you have this huge tool that has never been here before. And a lot of people are scared of it because they don't understand it. And in my last video in my course, we briefly talk about Instagram. We talk about what kind of profile picture to have, how to set up your account, your bio, your highlights, how many times a day you should be posting, just like the very basics, because that gets you started. And yesterday I was thinking of possibly creating a course for this next step of person who already knows their purpose. They have an Instagram set up and they're like, okay, now what do I do? Now, how do I do this? And there are other really great people that you can follow, like Brock Johnson. I love following him on Instagram because his whole brand is teaching you how to show up on Instagram. Like, he talks about everything that you would need to know. And he even has a membership, an Instagram Club Hub that you can join. And you can be in this group where they teach you even more about how to use Instagram. And this is what you need to do in order to get better at something. You need to focus on it. You need to study. You need to commit your time to it, and it will work. But when you're looking at this platform and social media, you can't let the fear of the unknown or confusion slow you down. You have to get out there to your people, and your people are the first step of connecting to your people. So if you post a reel and you're speaking to your ideal person and you get 4 likes on it, you have 4 people right there who wanted to hear what you had to say. Don't get caught up in the numbers. Don't get caught up with this only had 200 views. This only has 6 likes. I only had 1 new follower this week. Don't get caught up in all the numbers. Okay, what you need to do is you need to create content that is serving your person, and you need to post an Instagram reel every single day, or as many days as you can. Now, don't get caught up in perfection. If you take a weekend off, your whole thing that you just built isn't going to crumble. If you take a week off, your whole thing you just built isn't going to be ruined. You need to separate and take time and balance your life, and your whole life can't be about this, because remember, we're not hustling. We're not doing this in a hustle culture of work hard and sacrifice and show up and spend 10 hours a day learning about this. That is not what we want to do. That takes away the glory from God of what he's doing and how he's showing up. But once you figure out who you're talking to, your main goal next needs to be creating content every single day that is going to speak specifically to this person. Because the goal that you want to achieve is you want more followers. That's really what matters. Don't look at the views. Don't look at the likes. You need to focus on followers. And there are a lot of insight tools on your Instagram that you can look at, and it'll actually tell you, are you in the green? Have you been adding followers? Are you in the negative? And you can look at the analytics and you can see the insights on your main page. At the top, it'll show you, and you'll be able to see, okay, how are my things trending? And the reason why you don't want a lot of views and likes without the followers is because it actually shows that you're all over the place. Okay, it shows that nobody is really connecting to your content. No one is really looking at your content thinking, whoa, this just spoke to my soul. Who is this person? I need to follow them. And that's what we want. Okay, we have this pool of 1.3 billion people on Instagram. We want to be able to post content every single day where we are fishing in the Instagram pond, and we're pulling out followers who are our ideal people that we can add value to. Okay, so if you are creating a brand and you want to help women lose 100 pounds in the next year, then you want to post things that are going to speak to the woman who wants to lose 100 pounds next year, who is, I don't know what that noise is, who, it keeps like happening on my thing. I don't know if you guys can hear it on your end, but I just put my computer on do not disturb. Maybe that'll help. But what you want to do is post content that speaks to this person where they're like, yes, this is me. I need to follow this account because I want to lose 100 pounds next year. And so you grow your followers, even if it's 1 a week, That's okay. The goal is to grow it. So if you start at 1 a week, now you want to go to 2 a week, and then 3 a week, and 4 a week. Okay. The goal is to go up little by little, every single step. That's okay if it's very slow. You just want to move forward. If you get 1 new follower a day, that's 365 new followers by the end of next year. That's 365 people who truly want what you have to offer. Think of 365 people standing in front of you and you're on a stage and they showed up and they're like, I'm listening. Tell me what to do. Okay, so that is the first goal, is to grow followers who want what you have. If you're not there and you're like, Tarryn, you're confusing me so bad, I have no idea what you're talking about, you need to go back and you need to do step 2 to find your purpose and to define all of these things, mentoringthemasses.com, or book a clarity call with me so we can talk and see if the course is right for you. And then you'll be able to do this next part. So the goal is followers. That's the first goal, is people are saying, yes, I want to follow you. I like what you're saying. I like what you're doing. If you're not getting followers and you're showing up, you're like, Tarryn, I've been posting reels every day and I get some likes, but I don't get anyone to follow me. There's a few questions you can ask yourself. 1, are you asking people to follow you? At the bottom of every single post that you make in your reels, whether it's on the actual video itself at the end or it's in the caption, you should be giving someone what we say is a call to action. You're telling them the action to take. So on the video at the end, you can say, check out the caption for more. Or the video on the end, you can say, follow for more. The video at the end, you can say, like and follow if this relates to you. You're telling them to follow you. You're inviting them along. Follow me if you want to lose 100 pounds next year. Follow me if you are into if you're into this certain show or into this certain education program, or follow me if you want to get closer to God in 2023. Follow me if you want to get out of the valley. Follow me if you need someone speaking into your life, if you need daily inspiration, if you need to get your thyroid health under control, if you want to become the most organized mom possible, if you want to become a minimalist, whatever it is this thing that you're creating, you're asking them to follow you for more. So if you're posting every day and you're like, I'm not getting followers, are you asking people to follow you? If not, I want you to go and you can actually click the link in my bio on Instagram and you can scroll down, and I have a free Instagram audit that you can be a part of, and it will send you an email. You can print it out or you can just write it out, and it's a quiz and it asks you questions about your Instagram. And then you score yourself at the end, and it tells you if you're in this range, you're in a very bad place. If you're in this place, you're in a decent place. If you're in this place, you're in a great place. And it will show you how consistent your message is to your followers. Because if you're not getting followers, I guess not to your followers, but to your group and to Instagram, if you're not getting followers, you need to figure out why. Are you being consistent? One day you're talking about motherhood, the next day you're talking about mental health, the next day you're talking about Jesus, the next day you're talking about marriage, the next day you're posting a dance trend, the next day you're posting a song with the fall leaves around you. Like, that's not consistent. No one's gonna say, yes, I need this. They're like, I don't really even get this. But if your whole page is humor, or your whole page is inspiration, or every single post talks about the same thing, then you will start to grow a brand. That's what a brand is, when someone can recognize you for knowing something, for adding value to something, and that's what you want. So you can take the free Instagram audit and you can see for yourself, how consistent is my message? If your message is inconsistent, you need to go back to the drawing board and say, I only can post things about this. And it might even help you too to make a list of your ideal person and all the things that they need to hear. Put it up next to your computer or wherever you create posts and reels, and put it on there and say, this is what they need to hear. How can I post content about this? And then pray for inspiration. Pray for creativity. Pray for God to reveal to you what to do next, because that's what I've been praying for. I used to, when I would drink wine at night and I would get a little buzz, I would start to feel super creative, and I would get like all of these ideas and all of this stuff. And the devil used that to keep me drinking, because I felt like I needed that little creative edge to be able to post reels and content when I had a little buzz and I was relaxed and I wasn't stressed out and my mind could kind of wander and I can create. But instead of relying on alcohol to do that, I started relying on Jesus to do that. And I told God, I'm going to give up alcohol. I need you to give me creativity. I need you to speak to me. I don't want to get it from drinking. I want to get it from you. So if you're using something to help you be creative right now, ask God to replace it with his love and for him to satisfy you and him to speak this into you. So you're posting these things and you're getting people to say, yes, I need this message. If you're not getting followers, but your message is consistent, you might not be vulnerable enough. You might not be relatable enough to what you're talking about, pain points. You need to be vulnerable. You need to share your junk. You need to share your struggles. You need to share the depth of what you're talking about. You need to show them why they need what you're offering and who you're offering, the value that you're adding, why someone would want to follow you, why they would want to be a part of this. So once you start growing followers, that's great because it shows that what you're talking about is attracting people to you. They're realizing, okay, I really like this person. This is great. And then just start by sending a message to your new followers and saying, hey, thanks for following me. My page is for A, B, and C. And I hope you find value. If you need anything, please send me a message. Just sending them a message. And in my course, I talk about a software that actually messages people for me so that I don't have to spend time doing that. It's been incredible for me. It's helped me so much. And so the course gives you all these little tools and tricks and things that I use to grow my brand as well. I'm able to grow, like I said, I have 18.1 followers now, 1,000 followers. And I've been doing that intentionally. It wasn't just an accident. I can help other people grow their following too, but you first have to know your purpose and you have to get out of the valley and remove the veil, remove the blanket, remove the scales and realize you have a purpose. You're called to do something, walk in that with God, and then learn about branding and learn how to get better with that. Now, the next thing that you want to create once you have these followers is you want to create a way that you can communicate with them. So I have 18.1 thousand followers, but I need their information. I can't DM every single person. I need to know their name. I need to know their email, and I would like to know their phone numbers. So the way that I collect people's information and separate the 18.1 thousand followers to the people who really, really want what I have to offer. Like we're separating from the, oh yeah, she's good, I'm going to follow her, to the, oh my gosh, I need to connect with Tarryn. That's what I'm trying to do, is the people that have this urgency of, I need what she has, I need to be closer to this. Those are the people that I want to add even more value to for free in exchange for their information. Because now I can send you emails. I can tell you when I have a new podcast episode up. I can tell you when I need your help and I'm doing a giveaway. I can tell you about my apparel line that's about to launch. I can tell you about my book that's on pre-sale. I can communicate with you. I know your needs. I know who you are. I know your pains. And I can now create things out of a need and I can offer it to you. And I know you're going to be interested because this is who I created it for. So it's posting things to find your followers and then getting them to give you their information. And this is what we call free offers. And you want to create free offers for people so that they can give you their information in exchange for something that they need. And this is why I say you can't steer a parked car, because you don't really know what your people need until you start hearing what they need and talking to them. You need to start talking to them. You need to hear from them. So when I do clarity calls, I started offering clarity calls because I would talk to people on Instagram and they would be like, hey, can you help me understand this? I have no idea what's holding me back. Can you offer me a book? I don't know if I should do this yet. They had all these questions and were so confused. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I just need to talk to you. Let me create a little calendar schedule. I'll open up some days and times where I'll be free and you can call me and book a call on my schedule and I can help you and I can talk to you. I started doing clarity calls because I realized people needed someone to talk to. And so I was like, oh, I'll open this up and I'll talk to people. And they're booking on my calendar. I'm getting their name and their email. So that's adding to my email list. I'm getting on the phone with them. I'm able to help them, give them information, and they feel better. So I started doing clarity calls. Then as I started talking to people, I realized that we all need to get our mind in the right place. It is not in the right place. We wake up and we instantly go into hustle, stress, worry. What's on my plan today? What do I have to do? Dread, fear, all these things. And I realized that we need to wake up and get our minds focused on things above, not on earthly things. So I created a podcast where I could give people the message every single morning because I knew that's what you needed to hear. So I started doing that. And then as I started doing podcasts and doing clarity calls, people would ask me questions on these clarity calls, like, how do you pray? And how do you know what Bible to buy? And all of those questions I was hearing from my audience, and I was realizing these are topics I need to cover in my podcast. So it helps me to give out more podcast episodes because I'm hearing from my group of people. And then as I started coaching people and talking to them about their brands, I realized a lot of people were like, how do I know if my Instagram is good enough? How do I know if my message is consistent? Well, I didn't want to take the time to have to go into everyone's Instagram account and do my own audit. I'm like, I can create the questions that I would ask, and I'll create this automatic audit, and I will put it out there for free. And anyone who wants to check how good their Instagram is and consistent their messages, they can just click the link and do it themselves. And in order to get the audit, you need to give me your name and your email. And you will gladly give me your name and your email because you want the free Instagram audit. Just like I gave my name and my email to the Life on Fire challenge because I wanted the 3 live 90-minute Zooms that I could learn about writing and publishing my book. That was part of his goal. He spoke directly to me. He said, if you have a book that you want to write and you're a Christian and you know that God placed this on the heart and you don't know what to do next and you need some inspiration and you need some guidance, you're going to want to listen up. And I was listening up. I was like, oh, heck yeah, this is for me. Now, if you weren't writing a book and you weren't a Christian woman with an idea, you would have skipped the ad. That's perfectly fine for him because he's only looking for his own people. I don't care if a man skips past my Instagram. I actually would prefer them to. I'm not talking to men. I'm talking to women. So I'm not offended if a man doesn't follow me. He's not who I'm talking to. So you're really looking to get people's information in exchange for the value and grow an email list. And the software that I use, you can use MailChimp if you want. That's a good free one as you're getting started to build a list. They have really great customer support. You can also Google about like how to use MailChimp. You can just call up their customer service and ask them whatever question you want. They're really great to start out. I used them at first, and then when I needed something more and my list started growing and I wanted to be able to automate and do things, I used the software called Keep, K-E-A-P. And it's just keep.com. And this is what I use for my email list. And I now have gathered about 650 people's information over just the last 2 years. And I haven't even really been super serious about doing this because when I am super serious about doing this, I gathered like 200 contacts in one day. So you can gather a lot in one day. This can really scale and go crazy. But the goal is it's a lot of information to learn, but you want to get to a point where you're just offering something for free and people are giving you their information. You don't even have to be sending emails or doing anything right now, but you want to create this little pod of people that said, yes, I would like to hear from you. I would like to hear what you say, because as this number grows, whatever you create in the future, it's just going to help that. So when my book is finally released, I have 650 people that need my book, that have been hearing about it, that are like, yes, we can finally buy the book. And they can go on and they can buy it online. So the goal is to have this pool of people that are really wanting to connect with you as you're working on what you're working on. So ask yourself, what could I be offering for free? Is it a little video that you can do, an inspiration, give someone a couple tools, tips? Think very simple. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. One of the free offers that I want to create next is 3 steps to a happy life. And it's one video that they get that I'm going to pre-record that they can watch. And it's going to tell you the 3 things you need to do right now, today, in order to start changing your life. Because there are 3 things that you need to do in order to start changing your life. It's very simple and you need to start doing them. I can offer that 30-minute video, 45-minute, hour-long video that they can watch and rewatch. And then I can really blow it out and massively promote it and tell people, if you're in a bad place, that can be my call to action on every single one of my posts. I can say, if you are an unfulfilled woman and you want to feel happy, download my free video of how to be happy by tomorrow in the link in my bio. And then every single post I make, every single reel I do, that is in the bottom. That is my call to action. If you're an unfulfilled woman and you want to be happy by tomorrow, download my free instant happiness video right now. Click the link in my bio. People are going to see that, click the link in my bio, enter in their information to download the video, and now they're in my email list. So when I offer a new course, or I write another book, or I do my soul revivals and I start speaking internationally and people want to hire me to speak and to pour into them, now I have this whole huge group of people that can get what I'm offering next. So this is how people are doing it online. This is how they're taking advantage of social media platforms to speak directly to their person, to get followers, to convert them into their information, to be in an email list, and then you can start emailing them. And this is really where you need to be. If you're at step 3, you need to start moving. Stop being frozen in fear. Move forward. Move forward. Start doing something. Start by saying, okay, I'm going to post 5 reels a week. Just start posting them. You're probably going to suck in the beginning. They're probably not going to get a lot of views. They're probably not going to get a lot of likes. Mine didn't. Most people's don't. You need to keep doing it. And over time, you'll be like, yeah, I don't like that anymore. Yeah, I want to do this instead. And if you have no idea how to use Instagram and you want help, continuous help, check out Brock Johnson's Instagram. And you can click the link in his bio and you can get into his course. I think it's like $20 a month or something, or maybe he upped the price or something. But I mean, it's phenomenal. It's a great place to start. There's so much to learn. You will never be done learning about Instagram. I've been doing this for 8 years and 9 years. And I'm still like learning something new every single day because they constantly are changing and evolving everything. So if you want to book on my schedule for a clarity call, I just opened more spots up yesterday. And you can book with me if you want to know if my course is right for you. You have a question, you need to overcome something, you need prayer. I would love to chat with you for 30 minutes on the phone and hear your story and hear how I can help you into that next step. And if you also want to DM me on Instagram, you can do that too. But you're called to bear one another burden and fulfill the law of Christ in Galatians 6:2. Bear one another's burdens. How can you help someone else's burdens? How can you serve? Romans 15:1 says, we who are strong have an obligation to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves. If you have gotten out of the valley and you are now strong in Christ, you have an obligation to help the weak. So if you have gotten out of the abusive relationship, you have an obligation to help the weak. If you have created something that other people can't, you have an obligation to help them. If you're inspiring someone, you have an obligation to do it. You're instructed to in Romans 15:1. So start thinking, what can I offer? How can I fulfill the needs? How can I post reels every single day? Get in this process, follow Brock Johnson, message me if you need anything. But this is where it starts. Imagine if you committed the next year of your life to creating free offers, growing a following, following God, staying close to him, imagine where you could be in 1 year. You would be blown away. Imagine this time next year, you have 500 people in an email list who want to hear what you have to say. You can grow this so fast. It won't take that long. So if you need anything, you know where to find me. I love you guys. I believe in you. Thank you for being on here live. And thank you for listening to the recording. You guys rock. And I know that you're chosen and anointed to do big things. You're the girl for the job. You are the right person. Believe it. Start believing that. And you watch, everything will change. Thank you for listening and spending your morning with me. I pray that God blesses your day and that he helps you to see the calling that is on your life. Lord, help us to be obedient to what you've called us to do. Help us to walk in our day side by side with you and link with your power instead of trying to do it on our own. We know we cannot do this on our own, although we try. Please continue to help us and continue to lead us and guide us. We love you so much. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Have a blessed day. Thanks for being here. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Tarryn Sarconi so that you can grow with me and you can learn how to get out of the valley, how to stay out of the valley, and exactly what to do to have the best life ever in 2022.